are very, very busy and stacked as far as guests are concerned, but we should have some time for some of your calls. 844-686-5863, as usual, is the phone number. And today we have two guests. Both have been on this show in the past. One very, very recently, and that is drummer Matt Sorum, who starts us off today at around 3:30 Eastern Time. Matt is, of course, most known as being a drummer in Guns N' Roses during the Use Your Illusion period, replacing Steven Adler, but he has done quite well ever since with various projects, including an all-star thing that he does very, very well with corporate gigs and such, called Kings of Chaos. Of course, don't forget Matt was in Velvet Revolver, the GNR spinoff, played in The Cult. I think a lot of people forget that Matt was also in Motorhead for a brief time back around 2009. He was a touring member of the band. I remember we interviewed him for that metal show way back then. And he had some funny stories about working with Lemmy, and was talking about how challenging that gig was to play Motorhead material, which was a little different than the usual drumming style that he had played with other groups. So Matt is, Matt was on with us recently to promote a live event in Palm Springs, California, which has since happened and now is coming out as a recording, as an album, and I believe an actual video as well, although I'm not entirely clear on that. And I'm totally honest with you, I'm not entirely sure. And like I was saying, my big question for him when we talked to him in a little bit is how the hell he turned this around so quick, because I'm 2.5 years in and I still can't get my concert out because of the legalities. But he may have had stuff in place before the people did the concert. I don't know, but I'm curious about that too. That being said, I'm taking some very, very big steps into fulfilling my promise to get my concert out by the end of this year for all of you to see, professionally shot and recorded, and likely just free and clear on YouTube. So that is in the works. I've not forgotten about it. As I sit here in this studio, my home studio, I have a giant poster right above my head from that night, which stares me right in the face every time I'm on the radio. December 11th, 2023. Rapidly approaching 3 years since that night went on. Hell, we're going to be talking about the 45th year in radio concert before this thing comes out. But I will not let that happen. So I know I've been talking about it forever. It will happen. Number of people ask me about my documentary too. It is still very much in the works. It is another thing that takes a lot more time than you would imagine, and much of the shooting has been done already, but the editing process and then figuring out where it's going to come out, how it's going to come out, that all needs to be done. Music clearances being worked on. And the director who did my doc also does, once a year, he does these trips where he takes a group of tourists to like these exotic locations, like, Africa safaris and all sorts of stuff. And he's literally like almost off the grid the last couple weeks and the next couple weeks, I think. So was a little pause in there for that. He also shoots stuff for Major League Baseball, and I know there was some stuff with that around spring training. So that's still very, very much in the works. We have a ton of content there, and it's just a question too of how we're going to roll that out. So we'll see, but the concert will come first for sure. All right, so let me get you some news here, as we always do to start the show. And then we will segue into talking to Matt Sorum. And then today we have a very, very special guest joining us for about 20 minutes or so, whatever time we can get with him at the end of the show. And that will be live as well at around 4:30 Eastern. We will welcome to the program noted actor, celebrated actor, award-winning actor, Billy Bob Thornton, who, if you don't know, Billy Bob is a huge music fan. He has a rock band that he has been touring with for a long time and making many records with. And he is actually, first and foremost, a music guy. And I think for him, the acting thing he kind of fell into it. Obviously, a mega talented guy, so had to have that inherently in him to be able to act and write like he can and has done for decades. But his real passion, kind of much like Johnny Depp is the same way, I've been told, is actually music. And to that end, he still every year pretty much releases an album. He put out his 21st album with his band, the Boxmasters, not long ago, and did a bunch of touring, which just wrapped up as well. He was on this show, I'd say it was probably 7-8 years ago. I did a broadcast from the NAMM show in LA. He was there. I don't remember how I connected with him. It might have been through Teddy Zigzag, the keyboardist, who has played with Billy Bob and was, played with Slash and others. I think through Teddy, he may have connected me with Billy Bob. And Billy Bob physically came in. I remember was doing the show, and we have this on recorded somewhere in the archives, but I was doing a show from this conference center outside of where NAMM is in Anaheim. And he came over and spent like an hour sitting in with me. It was a great conversation. So he's calling in today to talk about a new documentary, which he is a big part of, on the rock and roll landmark hotel Sunset Marquis in LA. He is prominently featured in the documentary, and he has a lot of history with that hotel. When you see the doc, you will see and realize that Billy Bob almost essentially hosts the documentary, and he is great in it and has a bunch of stories. I didn't know this. Apparently, Billy Bob Thornton has stayed at the Sunset Marquis, has lived there every time he's gotten a divorce. And apparently that is a lot of time staying there because according to what I've seen online, he has been married and divorced 6 times. That may be a record. That is unbelievable. But he's great in the doc, and we'll have, if he calls right on time at 4:30 Eastern, we'll have probably about 25 minutes with him before we have to end the show for the week. So that's the deal. That's what we have to cap off another phenomenal week here on Trunk Nation. And we look forward to those interviews coming up. And again, you can get caught up on anything you may have missed using the SiriusXM app, as I just told you. All right. So some news here. And I talked about this yesterday at length, and I said to you guys that this was going to be huge news globally, and I wasn't lying, because it was all over social media as it was unfolding, and to no surprise, and to my point about how people view Deep Purple internationally, it was everywhere on the international sites. And that massive, massive news, in fact, did happen. And that is that for the first time in 33 years, Ritchie Blackmore took the stage with a band he co-founded, Deep Purple, last night, Jones Beach, Long Island, New York. And again, as expected, in one click, you could see this if you wanted to, because it is all over the internet. It's something a lot of people never thought they'd actually see happen. There were years and decades of animosity. There was, bitter breakups. There was times where Blackmore would not even talk about his history with Purple and Rainbow, for that matter. And as I mentioned, there has been definitely a change in Ritchie Blackmore at 81 years old to come around to his incredible contributions to rock music and start to embrace them a little bit at this point in his life. I mentioned he did a few interviews for a Dio Rainbow box set. And he has been active on social media doing some videos and stuff and some live streams. And now it's completely come full circle with Blackmore doing something nobody thought they would see, walking back out on stage with, again, a band he founded in Deep Purple. And when those guys were up there, this is pretty interesting because, of course, Deep Purple started in the 60s, okay? When I saw them up there, something hit me. And it was the entire Mark II lineup. For those that don't follow Deep Purple that closely, there are 4 distinct eras of the band that is usually labeled by Mark I, Mark II, Mark III, Mark IV. Mark I was the mid-60s, late 60s version of the band before Ian Gillan joined and before Roger Glover joined. Mark II, Blackmore was in Mark I, of course. He was a founding member. Mark II lineup, which is pretty much considered the all-time classic version by Deep Purple purists, is the lineup that made Machine Head and Smoke on the Water and Highway Star and all of that. And that is Ian Pace, who is also an original member. Ian Gillan, who came in on Mark II, Roger Glover, who came in on Mark II, John Lord, also there from the beginning, and of course Blackmore. That's considered the quintessential lineup era. Then you had Mark III, where Glover left, Glenn Hughes came in, Ian Gillan left, David Coverdale comes in, 1973, Blackmore's still there. And then you have Mark IV, which is the only version without Blackmore, when Tommy Bolin came in to the Mark III lineup. So I hope you're following all that. And then, of course, there were various lineups since, but those are considered the 4 eras of Deep Purple, and 2 is considered the era. So last night, seeing the videos that I watched online of Blackmore up there hit me like, holy shit, it's literally the Mark II lineup with everybody still there, still playing, except for, of course, John Lord, who passed away. Don Airey's been on keys forever in that band. So it's pretty amazing that last night, of course, the Blackmore thing was enormous. It's pretty amazing that last night, the surviving members and 4/5 of one of the most celebrated globally rock acts in history were on stage together. And the fact that with these guys now in their 80s, that 4 of the 5 guys are still with us, and we're able to do that. And I'll tell you, the thing that jumped out at me about it in watching it, and they ended up doing Smoke on the Water, which I predicted they'd probably do. And it was like a 9-minute version. And by the way, current Deep Purple guitarist Simon McBride did stay out there and did play next to Blackmore. Blackmore had said he wanted to do Highway Star, but they ended up doing Smoke on the Water, which I believe was the second to last encore of the night, or maybe the last encore. I'm not sure how it ran. And, look, you're going to have people who are going to be like, oh, he didn't look great. He didn't, play great. He looked like, he didn't look like Blackmore. He wasn't acting like Blackmore. The man is 81 years old, you guys. He has not played heavy rock in a long time. So, yeah, I don't. How are you going to look and move at 81 years old? There's only like one Mick Jagger. There's only one Sammy Hagar. I mean, Brian Johnson, 70, soon to be 79. Again, what he's doing just physically is insane. So, yeah, not everybody ages in the same way. And when you're out of it for a while, meaning not playing that sort of music, there's going to be rust in your movement, in your playing, whatever. But I didn't care. It was just amazing to see the surviving members of the Mark II Deep Purple lineup on stage together again, playing one of the most iconic classic rock songs of all time. And I don't know Richie Blackmore at all, but he looked to be in pretty good spirits. He looked to kind of goof around a little bit. He looked to be, fairly happy doing it. He didn't, Blackmore was known for being, in his day, super animated on stage, throwing the guitar around, dancing around. I mean, where do you think Yngwie got all those moves from? But, you don't expect that at 81. But he, played the song and he had his Strat out there and he was still the man in black, except for his shoes, which were white. And, Ian Gillan, it was interesting because him and Ian Gillan had a thing. And Ian Gillan couldn't have been more praiseworthy of Blackmore as he wrapped up his one-song performance. They almost seemed a little astonished it was actually happening, but genuinely happy to see him and happy it was happening. And Blackmore, for his part, looked that way as well. I don't think, we had a caller yesterday who knows Blackmore and said that they plan to get there late and leave early. So he may have just walked right off stage, gotten in his car and left. I don't know. Ian Gillan made a comment like, we'll see you at the bar, Richie. I don't know if there was a hang afterwards with him at all. But this, reverberated around the world and will continue to be broken down and continue to reverberate because it was a seismic moment in rock that a lot of people never thought they would see. As I mentioned yesterday, I do believe it opens up a whole can of worms. I know Purple has deflected questions about Blackmore for decades. Blackmore has not wanted to talk about Purple for decades. Well, that's impossible now, because everybody is going to want to know about this and know if anything more comes of it. They've already kind of diffused that, saying that, no, it's just for a guest spot and whatever. But I mean, I would not be surprised if their booking agent is getting offers of enormous proportions from around the world, again, where Purple are so much bigger than America, to do a reunion of this. How viable that is, I don't know. Also, because, again, I don't know if Blackmore is in condition and can get up to condition to be able to do a 2-hour show. But it was a great moment for what it was. And was he a lot older and a lot slower? Of course, but that's a given. It was just great to see. And the last thing on this, when I watched that clip, to me, you know who was the star of the whole thing? Ian Gillan. Ian Gillan is also 80 or 81 years old. Ian Gillan sang Smoke on the Water perfectly. And needless to say, Deep Purple, a real band from a real era of making real music, uses no trickery or shenanigans. Ian Gillan is 81 next week. See how well he was singing and how great he looked doing Smoke on the Water, if that was the only track you watched? That was crazy. I kind of looked at seeing that clip of Purple last night, kind of similar to how I talked about Rush after I saw a show on this reunion, where the world is focused on Annika Niles, and I had never had a doubt that they were going to have a competent drummer in that spot. When I left the Rush show, the guy that was the MVP that blew my mind was Geddy, because of how well he played and sang. When I watched that clip of Purple doing Smoke on the Water last night, to me, the MVP and the guy you walk away with saying, holy shit, is Ian Gillan. At almost 81, looking like that and singing perfectly that song. That, to me, was incredible. And look, Ian Pace is one of the great underrated rock drummers ever. And he's still playing great. And so is Roger, and so is Don. I mean, that's why Purple does not stop and continues to make records, because they are still very powerful. It's remarkable for a heavy rock band. And now you have this return of Blackmore, given it one song, and we know that. At least that's what it is. And if that's all it ends up being, it was a moment. But we will continue to follow this. Deep Purple are going to be on tour here in America for a while. I will see about getting one of the guys on maybe next week. I was in touch with Roger yesterday. We've had Ian on before as well. So we'll see what we can do about that. And also, Purple are playing here in Vegas next month. And I believe I'm going to be here, and I plan to go. And if there's a chance that they're in town and I can get them in studio, of course, I'll do that as well. So there's the Deep Purple stuff from last night. As I mentioned, a massive, massive moment. You know, the other day I talked about Gene and Paul throwing out this first pitch at a LA Angels game. And I talked about how difficult that is to do, throwing a pitch as you get older, especially when you're not used to throwing a baseball. It can be quite an embarrassing moment. So we were talking about all that, and I said, I don't understand why these guys would even do that. It's a chance to be exposed looking really silly, but you know that we know they're really out there and stuff. And then I just put it together today, because today I got a press release, and now it all came together. Kiss are releasing a concert they did in 1976 that's been widely bootlegged called Kiss Destroys Anaheim. It's now coming out as an official release. And there's the tie-in, folks. I'm like, duh, it just hit me. The LA Angels, who for those that don't follow baseball, used to be called the Anaheim Angels, play in Anaheim. And although this is not the same exact stadium that this was recorded at, I don't believe, that's the connection. Gene and Paul are doing this as a promotional stunt to promote the Anaheim live release. They're in Anaheim. They're at a stadium in Anaheim, and they are doing press at this and also throwing out this first pitch to push the Anaheim concert. Now it makes sense. The first pitch Gene and Paul event is this Saturday. It will also have Kiss music played during the game, a live band playing Kiss songs, and a Kiss-themed fireworks display following the baseball game. So there you know there's always a sell. When it comes to Kiss, you know there's always something to be sold if they're doing something, and there it is. By the way, the Anaheim thing looks really cool. I mean, I talked about it the other day. There's a few different formats of it. There's been no mention of it being put out officially as a concert video, but there is video footage that they took from the screens. Again, this has been making the rounds on the Kiss bootleg circuit for decades, but this is now an official release, remixed, cleaned up, all that sort of stuff. A couple other quick notes here. Texas Hippie Coalition, if you're familiar with that band, great band, 25 years going. I know those guys from when they first started, putting out 2 new albums on September 11th. Scorpions' song Rock You Like a Hurricane is the subject of a graphic novel, 96 pages, coming out in October, all based on that song and what they talk about in that song. What else can I tell you? We also, when we do the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame snub shows, I often get people pushing the Monkees. The sole surviving original member of that band, Mickey Dolenz, has announced concert dates for September through February of next year. 38 Special, who I'll be seeing at the Mountain Music Festival coming up next weekend, have announced a bunch more shows running through November 7th. We've had Don Barnes on the show several times. And I've not been able to confirm this, but Rick Friel, who is a regular listener of this show, sent me a note saying that Mitch Weissman has passed away. Again, I'm not able to confirm that independently. Joel, you might want to look that up and see if you find anything on that. For those that don't know who Mitch is, he was a songwriter that did work on some 80s Kiss stuff around the Animalized period. He was also in Beatlemania. I think he played Paul McCartney. He's a writer, collaborated with a bunch of different artists, did some producing, did some work himself in music. A talented guy. I knew Mitch. And unfortunately, there are reports online that he has passed away. I last talked to him maybe 5-10 years ago. Used to talk to him all the time back when he was working with Kiss, late 80s, etc. So, again, we'll try to confirm that, but various people have told me that, unfortunately, that may indeed be true.
Nothing official as of now.
Okay, well, hopefully it's not true. I hate to put stuff out there like that, but a reliable person did say this, so we'll see. All right, so, Joel, anything you want to jump in on?
We just had Mastodon on the show, and they released a new track and music video today. It's In the Ruins. We talked about it in the interview. Go hear it on the SiriusXM app. We'll play a little bit of it here as we go to break.
Okay, cool. So we should have Matt Sorum right after the break. We'll spend a few minutes with him. We should have some time for your calls after that. And then we'll get to Billy Bob Thornton to wrap the show up at around 4:30 Eastern today on a very, very busy show here on a Thursday on Trunk Nation.
And now, more Talk That Rocks. Trunk Nation with Eddie Trunk.
The Nostradamus of rock.
Hell yeah.
Sirius XM's Faction Talk.
All right, we had this guy on the show not long ago at all to talk about an event that he was doing for charity, a live event in Palm Springs, California, that honored Geezer Butler and Paul Rogers, and there were a ton of cool artists that jammed at that, and that live event has now happened. It was a success, and now we find out that it has been captured and is getting released. And joining us now is the guy who put it all together and is the man behind it, Matt Sorum. Good to see you, buddy. How are you?
Oh, thanks for having me, Eddie. Great to be
man.
here.
Yeah, so you were on last, as I just said, when this thing was about to happen. How apparently it all went down well, huh?
It went great. I mean, the only problem was you weren't there. I wanted you to come, but you were busy. I know.
I wanted to. Trust me, I really wanted to. I had a conflict, but I really wanted to because it was a killer line.
We'll talk about the next one. So basically, long story short, I have a charity called Adopt the Arts. It's been going for about 14 years. My co-founder is Jane Lynch, the Emmy Award-winning actress. She used to be my neighbor in LA. And we started this charity, do 2 schools in LA, and now I have 6 schools in Coachella Valley where I live with my wife and kid in the wintertime. We're not there right now because it's hot, but I have 6 schools there. And now we serve about 4,000 kids for music, K through 5. So this event was at the Plaza Theater, which is the old cool theater downtown Palm Springs, about 650 seats, built in the 20s, really cool. And I set it up as a tribute concert, but honoring Geezer Butler and Paul Rogers, and brought all my great friends, Nuno Betancourt on guitar, Phil X from Bon Jovi, Stevie Salas, and I had Steve Stevens, Billy Idol on guitar, and then Robert DeLeo played bass on the Bad Company stuff and Free. So we did a set of Bad Company Free, about 7 songs, and then we did a bit of an auction, and then the end of the night was Black Sabbath. I figured we had to end with Black Sabbath. Just, And Geezer got up and did 4 songs. I had Lizzie Hale on vocals, Corey Taylor, the great Glenn Hughes, the voice of rock, and Charlie Starr, a real gem, this guy from the band Blackberry Smoke.
Sure.
And just a killer night. Paul Rogers got up and did Rock and Roll Fantasy, and we ended the night with All Right Now, of course. And Geezer got up and did, we opened with NIB, with Glenn singing it. Have you listened to the tracks yet?
I heard some of it, and not everything, but I heard that's insane. I mean, mind-blowing.
The NIB I love so much because it was the perfect collaboration of Deep Purple, and Black Sabbath. Glenn, singing Ozzy is tough. Everyone knows that. But Glenn did his own thing to NIB, and it just is killer. Nuno on guitar on that one, and Geezer on bass. And then Lizzie Hale came out and did Neon Nights, the Dio era, which was just, check that one out. I think we need to put it on the radio. And she just crushed it. And then Corey Taylor came out and we did Paranoid and went into War Pigs. We opened that set with Charlie Starr, Children of the Grave, and then we did Symptom of the Universe with Lizzie. And the Bad Company stuff, we opened the night with a Bad Company with a duet between Corey and Lizzie, which is epic. And then Glenn did Can't Get Enough of Your Love. Lizzie did, she did Shooting Star.
Which she recorded for the Bad Company tribute.
Listen to this version. She goes, even Geezer came up to me and he said, "Oh my God,
yeah, she's
listen
insane.
to that girl. I haven't seen anyone that great since I saw Janis Joplin the first time." I was like,
yeah,
I think so.
It's crazy.
And then Corey got up and did some, and then Paul came out, which was epic because he didn't even do the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but he came for our little charity, which was unbelievable. And I was emotional. I was like, it was such a magical night that you can capture stuff on laptops now. So I had Pro Tools, laptop, recording. Everyone was just on their game. Everyone was so up for the vibe because, first of all, it's Paul Rodgers. You don't want to screw up his songs. And it's Geezer. Right. So everyone just came with their game and we nailed it. So I'm like, I got to put this out. So I made a double live album. And if I sent you a bunch of videos, we were going to start launching some videos. Super lo-fi. Like I had one camera guy and a camera at the back and some GoPros. But it looks cool. It's not like overdone. It's not, flashy. So I'm really excited about putting it out. I have my own vinyl company called Experience Vinyl. And if you think about vinyl, the way we grew up with rock and roll, right, Eddie? We had records, man. We looked at the artwork. So we made killer artwork. I think I sent you everything. We got visuals. And Glenn Wexler did the album cover, who did Van Halen, Balance.
Oh, wow.
And he lives in the desert. I'm like, Glenn, will you do the album cover? Like old school, the way we used to do it, like thinking about the art and what the pictures are going to be on the inside and the credits. And it was just such a really cool thing to be a part of, first of all, for the charity, and then making this record like we used to, right?
I got to ask you something. This is the thing that I need to find out from you, which I am amazed at. So I think I told you last time you were on. 2.5 years ago, I did a concert here in Vegas for my 40th year in radio. And that show, by the way, opened with Geezer playing Sabbath Bloody Sabbath and playing The Wizard. And interestingly, Corey Taylor sang The Wizard with Geezer, and Jay Buchanan from Rival Sons sang Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. It was insane. Portnoy played drums, Brent Woods played guitar. It was nuts. And I've had all these people in it. I had Alice Cooper in it, Sammy Hagar, Michael Anthony. All these people we're talking about all came out and jammed. And it was a 3.5-hour concert. Yeah. I got the whole thing pro shot, pro recorded. Wow. Matt, I haven't put it out yet because it has been a nightmare to deal with the publishing and the sync rights because the artists don't own their publishing anymore. Who wants this? Who will sign off? Who won't? So I'm probably just going to end up parking the whole thing on YouTube. So my question to you, when I first heard about this, is how the hell did you have all that in place already? Because how are you, and by the way, my thing is for charity too. How were you able to turn it around so quickly and get this out? Or you just don't care?
No. I got it all done. Well, I mean, Geezer and Gloria Butler, or Terry Butler and Gloria have been friends for a long time, and they believe in the charity, they believe in it. They help me. I'm obviously, like you said, a lot of people have sold their catalog, so they don't own it. So you have to go to the other people that own it, right?
And there's multiple writers that they have to sign off, and it's that they're not maybe in the band or they're not cool with them anymore. It's crazy, yeah.
Right. There is some stuff that you can do online, and I can turn you on to that. It costs a little bit of money, but there's ways that you can license music. So, for instance, I'm doing 2,000 vinyl copies only. I'm not streaming this. The reason I'm doing that is that's money straight to the charity. I have my own vinyl online site called Experience Vinyl. So we're going to sell this record for $100, but the money goes to the charity. Think about that. You stream 2,000 songs, you're not going to make, $200,000 gross, right? So that's a real number. But they believe in the charity. Paul's already worked with me twice with my charity, Paul Rogers. He did Rock and Roll Fantasy with my kids. So everyone in that team has been really cool. Now, all the individual artists that played, I had them sign, and they were, it didn't happen overnight. It was like, what do you call that? Herding cats. It's like, and everyone came, and I never said to them, hey, we're going to record this. But what happened was, when I heard it, I just reached out to everyone and started sending them tidbits of the mixes that I'd done. And everyone was into it based on that. But I understand what you're saying. It's a lot of hurdles that you have to go through, but I could help you with some of it. So
well, I think the other thing that might have made your thing easier is you focused on the music of basically two bands, Sabbath and Free/Bad Company. So you're dealing with those publishers and those people that have that way more than where I had 3.5 hours dealing with everything from Van Halen to Kiss to Sabbath to you name it, whoever's doing what. So that's where I think my thing is way more complicated, because there's literally like 30 artists' music represented throughout.
Right, you got a lot of paper trails.
So everyone told me just dock the thing on YouTube and let their umbrella thing pay everybody and be done with it. Which
that's how it works. So people know when you put up covers of songs, the artists still get the publishing. So that's the situation that I'm doing on the vinyl. Like I say, I'm just doing a limited amount where we're able to retain all the rights to the publishing for those 2,000 records only. If it goes crazy, which I hope it does, I'll have to call back and go, hey. But then at that point, the publishing part of the and the mechanical of a vinyl record, people that we're talking to out there probably don't know all the ins and outs of this stuff, but everyone gets paid out based on if they wrote the song, if the, the label. So it's a lot of kind of cans of worms you get into, but I've got it all cleaned up and we're ready to go, and it's exciting. And I got to ask you this, are you going to do, because like you talked about the way we got records as kids, I love that, man, and I'm all about physical. I love having packaging and all of that, but I'm actually still a CD guy, and CDs have increased, I don't know if you know, in the last year in sales, 16%. So that's the thing happening. Are you going to do this on CD? It's funny because I mastered it with Howie Weinberg, the great mastering guy. And he's like, Matt, you need to do CDs. And I'm like, so these records I do in Japan with TMG and Tak Matsumoto, huge CD business over there in Japan still. So that's percolated back because I think people are kind of getting so bored with just going and streaming and not having anything to hold on to. Like we used to hold on to something. CDs a lot more easy to get, to carry around than a vinyl. You got to get a milk crate to carry around your vinyl. But so I will investigate that once we get to this first phase, and I'm thinking about doing CDs as well, because the mastering job that Howie did, going straight to a CD, like when you go to vinyl mastering, it's a more complicated process to keep that sound or even make it better. So I've done 2 masterings on the vinyl, and I want it to be big and fat like it sounds on the masters that Howie made. So that's a process. It's all been a process. Right. I've been working on this since March, and I just finished getting everything ready to be pressed like a couple weeks ago. So,
are you going to do if this all goes well and this continues to roll out? And again, what I saw and heard is phenomenal. Do you envision putting out the video components? Are you thinking of just doing little clips on that, or do you foresee maybe there's an opportunity to actually put out the full video?
Yeah, well, I made a movie I made it that's going to show in Palm Springs at the Plaza Theater on September 13th. And I took all the videos, and then I just sort of laid out the story. We got a lot of great footage. I have a studio in Palm Springs called Good Noise, about 5,000 square feet. And that's where we rehearsed. It was so cool. Like, everyone came the day before. We only rehearsed once with the singers. And everyone just came in. We had this vibe, and I captured all that on video as well. And so I made this movie, and I basically narrate it. And it starts out with me in the desert driving in my old Galaxy, and I narrate this day that it was magic. And you know, you and me have been around. We've done a lot of stuff. It was just one of those nights. You know, Paul Rogers said to me the day before we were going to play, he said, "Matt, this might be the last concert I ever do." And he said that to me. I'm like, I just started crying. I'm like, why me? Why with me? I was just like, really? And Geezer, God, you know, I mean, you've hung out with Geezer. He's the coolest dude. And he was just, I gave him, you know, obviously with what went on with Ozzy last year, I'm sure he's sitting at home going, you know, hey man, so I call the guy. I'm like, I want to honor you, Geezer. People don't know, maybe, they look at Ozzy, you know, as the main guy. And
Geezer wrote everything he sang.
How much Geezer?
Yeah.
That's right. So on the record, I leave Geezer's induction speech. If you get a chance, listen to it. It talks about when he was a kid and his brother brought him his first guitar, 12 pounds, and it only had 2 strings. And when he realized he could put his finger on the fret and slide it up and down and make different sounds, he was hooked. Same story with Paul. So it all stems back to what we're trying to do with these kids, to keep them inspired and get them into the future being well-rounded. It's the same story you hear from Geezer or Ringo or me or all these guys, how we discovered music. So the whole thing that came out of it was just so epic. And so I made this movie, and if you can, maybe why don't you come out and interview me for that, and we'll work it out. I'll call you about that. So I'm going to show the movie. We're going to do 2 showings at this really cool theater that we did the concert. And then we're going to release the album that day, too, as a physical release. You know, it's going to come out in September.
So this is all, the screening of the movie you said is what, the 13th?
Yeah. And here's one funny part about that movie. The reason I can't put that out yet is I made these big tribute sections to Geezer, where I used a lot of Sabbath original music and a lot of photographs from a lot of photographers. People don't understand. You got to clear all that stuff too.
I know.
So,
trust me, I know.
You got to find every photographer that took every single photo, and then you got to find, you know, you got to go back and deal with all that. So in this movie, I have these tribute sections, which if I decide to put the movie out, I'll have to probably pull those because it's just too long of a ride to get it all cleared.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, it's amazing too. I mean, and for people that don't remember, and I wish this band would have had legs and made it, but Deadland Ritual, you had a band with Geezer Butler, Deadland Ritual with Frankie Perez and Steve Stevens. I mean, we did a thing for you with the Rainbow. Remember, you did my show.
Yeah,
you guys all came to my Rainbow. You're the Rainbow,
yeah,
and
that was cool.
Yeah, man, that was some killer stuff. So clearly, you had Steve as part of this. You had Geezer as part of this. You almost had a little Deadland Ritual going on there.
Yeah, we're all still friends. You know, I mean, I think that one was a hard one because, you know, coming out of the bands that we came out of, and me and Geezer shared a bus in Europe. It was epic. And, you know, just telling stories. I just wanted to hear stories from Geezer. That's all I wanted. You know, Eddie, it's like,
I know.
I don't care. We're still fans. We could be like 100%. Around all this, but we're fans of rock and roll and music. And so that was just another gift I've had through my journey. You know, I say I'm a journeyman. People ask me about all my old bands, but I'm like, I'm still doing the coolest stuff. And this is what brings me joy, you know? It's like, I'm giving back and all that. So this experience, and I'm going to do another one next year, and I'm not telling you who I'm asking yet, but it's going to be, if they come, you got to come this time.
All right, well, I wanted to come to this one.
I'm going, you know, I'm going to make the call And soon, because I got to do it in March. I've already booked the theater for March 8th. But I'm going to make the call. I'm going to get 1 or 2 answers.
Well, you have a way, for people that don't know, Matt Sorum has a way of getting things to happen. So I would not be surprised, whoever you're thinking of, if they don't do it, because whether it's Kings of Chaos and all those people you put together with that, you got a way of making things happen. And, look, if this just one other thing on Paul Rogers, who, of course, was the other artist you honored at this. I mean, the freak of freaks when it comes to vocals. And when you watch and I listen to what Paul did that night, when you consider, as you said, he didn't perform at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and it's very limited as to what he wants to do now. It's crazy, dude, how great he still sings. I mean, it's nuts.
He came to rehearsal the day before. And I see these guys because I work with Steve and Tyler too. You know that with Janie's Fund and all that.
Sure, I see you at that, yeah.
So these guys are such perfectionists. This is the thing about these kind of singers. If they can't nail it, it really takes a lot out of them. Like Steven's very, the same way as Paul. Paul wants to go up there. He knows when he's singing great. And in my opinion, he always sounds, he can open his mouth and it's like, okay. But in his mind, internally, he's like, that wasn't good enough, or I could do better. So for him to kind of back down is basically about his, he wants to be the best he can be for the audience. And if he can't be the best he can be, he feels like he doesn't want to do it. But that night he got up, we were like, well, there it is. When he walked into rehearsal, same thing. And oh my God, everybody on that stage and in that audience, when he came on stage, that magic when you see that star walk out, that star singer, and they just walk, all they got to do is walk out. And you're like, oh my God, there he is. It's so magical when you meet those kind of stars that walk out and do that. I mean, it happens when I play with Billy Gibbons. As soon as he walks out, people, it's like, of course, Tyler. But Paul, it's just the upper echelon of greatness,
He's the singer. You talk to any singer and he's kind of the benchmark. No matter who you're talking to, he's the singer. He really is.
That was another thing. Who could I consider to sing Paul Rogers? It was like, I asked Jay Buchanan, actually, because I think that kid's great. I call him a kid because he's younger than me, but
unbelievable. He's unbelievable.
I asked a lot of those kind of guys too. I asked people. He was on tour or something. But anyway, I thought about it. Can't say Corey Taylor's right up Paul Rogers' alley, but he's a guy that always makes sure he studied it. He always makes sure he does his own representation of it. And Paul understands that's good for his music because Corey is moving in a different arena of listeners and might hear his music through Corey Taylor or Lizzie Hale, who's a younger artist. Mm-hmm. So I try to bring in some of that and mix it with guys like Glenn Hughes, who's cut from the same cloth.
Right.
Glenn comes from the same era, the 70s. He comes from blues background mixed with rock and roll. It's like blues based, but rock, Deep Purple, the way he sang that music. Mm. Glenn Hughes, no brainer. And then Charlie Starr, this guy from Blackberry Smoke, Billy Duffy from the Cult told me to get him. Mm. And I was like, oh, let me look. So I saw them doing a version of Children of the Grave with his band Blackberry Smoke, and I was like, that's awesome. And then they did Running with the Pack with Blackberry Smoke. I'm like, perfect. And he was like a wild card, but he came up, and I think his 2 versions of each one of those songs are pretty epic.
I actually connected, I know Charlie, and I actually connected Charlie to the Bad Company tribute that came out. Oh, cool. I was the one that got him in that. So he it's funny how it came full circle that you had him there. But when I reached out to him, and So the friends of mine that were putting together the Bad Company tribute, they were like, we need somebody different, whatever. And much like Billy Duffy said to you, Charlie, I said to them, Charlie, and they called Charlie and did it. And Charlie called me like 3 times. He's like, dude, this was like the highlight of my life singing Paul Rogers. And he had Paul on the track, I think. It was just crazy.
Oh, yeah. Paul recorded the other part of that track at my studio.
Oh, is that right?
The video, he's in my studio, yeah. He comes to my studio all the time. It's a trip. It's like, I still sit there and go, there's Paul Rogers sitting there, you know? I'm just, think about all the stuff he's done and where he's been from Free to, you know, the Free era. I mean, early 70s, late 60s, you know?
It's crazy. I'm laughing because I'm thinking about a time I had Paul Rogers on my old TV show when we were doing That Metal Show. And the other guests on the show at the time were Josh and Keith from Buck Cherry. At that time, they were still together, those two. And those guys came out. They were the second guest after Paul, and Paul was sitting right next to him. And those guys, you know, we all get talk like when we see each other, talk. And they weren't saying anything. If you watch the show, I'm like, guys, and I'm like, come on, what are you doing? And I'll never forget, they just looked at me and they go, Paul Rogers. Like they just locked up because Paul was sitting next to him. I mean, I'll never forget that moment. And that's the reverence he holds with all these musicians.
Yeah, and what do you say? You know, what do you say to a guy like Paul Rogers?
And he's a super nice guy. The crazy thing about these people we're talking about with Paul and Geezer, we're lucky to both know them. And not only are they extraordinary musicians, but they're just great regular people too. They're just super nice people.
My experience with the 70s guys, like that ilk, it just, I don't know. It's a little bit different of a breed, you know. They were around the cool. In my opinion, I don't know if this is true for you, Eddie, but I think the '70s era of rock and roll really set the tone.
100%.
That music that came out of the '70s. If you think about the bands and then the diversity. You know, you go into other ilks like Earth, Wind and Fire and the Eagles and all that stuff. The different music, Sly and the Family Stone, but then the rock, you know, we're not even talking about bands like UFO and, you know, like just hundreds of great bands that have stand the test of time. You still listen to the records, you know.
Look, Lizzy. Man, I love the 80s, and that was probably the era I grew up in the industry. But I say all the time, like if I'm going through my record collection, 9 times out of 10, for my own enjoyment, I'm landing on an old UFO record, an old Thin Lizzy record, Aerosmith rocks, you know, Kiss Rock and Roll Over, you know what? It's all 70s stuff. I mean, that stuff just still holds up remarkably well. UFO, Strangers in the Night. I mean, Deep Purple, Blackmore just got up with Deep Purple last night. Who the hell thought we'd see that? You know, it's crazy, man. So I just saw AC/DC, you know, here in Vegas a week ago. It's sick what Brian is doing at his age, still up there.
Sounding good?
It's crazy, man. The guy, I said this, Matt, think about this, okay? He's doing the best he can singing, and I think he's doing an amazing job, okay? But the man is almost 79 years old, and he's still dancing and walking and working a football stadium-sized stage. Yeah. Take the singing out of it. Tell me a 79-year-old who's moving like that and strutting around a stage that huge. It's crazy. There's
two variables with rock and roll. It'll either kill you or it'll make you live longer. It's like, it's weird. It's like, if you can keep going and I just talked to Billy Gibbons on the phone. He's 77. He's on the road like constantly.
I know.
And loves to tour. And in a way, I look at that like, keep moving, keep your brain active. You know, rock and roll in a way, you got to kind of stay in shape. You got to be like, you know, you got to be up there doing it. Like, I get ready to do a show, I'm like doing as much as I can physically. It's not like the old days, it was the 12-ounce girls, but now we're younger. It's like, I got to get my shit together, you know? I got to go to the gym, I got to eat right, I got to be, you know, ready. So, in a way, I'm sure Brian and those guys are the same way. They prepare to do that show. And, you know, I don't know, maybe Angus sits backstage and still drinks tea and smokes cigarettes. I'm not sure what he does for his pre-show breakfast.
He's like, people don't realize this, though, and I didn't realize this till I looked it up. Angus is 8 years younger. He's way younger than Brian.
Oh.
So Angus was like a kid when AC/DC started. So he's still only like 71 only, but still, I mean, that's nothing. He can go another 10 years, this guy. And he's out there running around in the schoolboy outfit, doing a 20-minute solo, dancing around on his back. It's crazy, some of the stuff we're seeing.
I think about that, but the window is closing. And I say to people, like when I heard this from Glenn the other night, and Paul, when Paul talked to me about it, to go see these bands, and Glenn, he came out the Highway Star, and he was just ripping it. And then we went into Stormbringer, killer. He said to me before he went on, he said, "I'm going to crush this stage tonight." He said that because he knew his joy comes from being a performer. Most of us, when we get up there, like my friend Slash, he's on stage because he loves being on stage. Sure, he's making money, but he doesn't do well anyplace else.
He never stops. He never
feels
stops.
Most comfortable when he's playing his guitar. He always has. I can't say I'm completely that guy right now because I'm raising a 5-year-old daughter. I love playing. I love getting up, but it's not like those guys. Those guys just are out. They have to be out there. And I say to people, go see them while you can, because the window for especially the 70s artists is getting shorter. I get as much playing in as I can with some of these guys, and I'm just. And when I played that show and did this and we got this down on recording and made these little videos, I'm like, I can at least look at it and go, God, I had that experience. And
yeah, I mean, I'm the same way, man. There's a lot of parallels here between this concert and the thing I did a couple years ago, which hopefully you'll be able to see soon. But when I sit back and look at it, and I'm like, oh yeah. And like, to your point, I know you mentioned this in your release about this, and it was the same thing with me. None of these people were paid. They all donated their time and their services. And that was the same thing with my concert. And to look back at that and see Alice Cooper come out, and Sammy Hagar and Michael Anthony come out, and Geezer come out, and all these people, it just blew my head out that this actually happened, because again, these are the people, posters on your wall as a kid, it's like, it's just crazy. Last thing, because I got to run. You are and have become very, very close working with another one of these icons that we love, and that is Steven Tyler. And I see you at Janie's Fund every year. I think Steven, the last two Janie's Funds has sounded great. And I think, obviously, like you said, he's a perfectionist. There's a big difference in doing that and doing a full show. But has he talked to you about wanting to do anything more? Do you think we'll ever see him go out in any capacity and front a, whether it be Aerosmith or his own thing again?
I don't know if I could really comment on that because it could get me in trouble, but
I don't want to do that.
I don't know, Eddie, because I just want to, be a supportive friend, and we've become very close. And I would love to see that. I think we all would.
Just one time, even. Just one show.
Yeah. I hope so. The Janie's Fund stuff, were you at the last one we did Last Child and Walking the Dog and Marcus King? He loves it. He gets up there and he loves it. He knows it. And we've done these shorter shows where he's singing like 4 or 5 songs. It takes the pressure off of him.
Yeah.
I just love the guy so much. He's one of the greatest ever. And
agreed.
I hope for the best with him and Aerosmith, Joe Perry too. And
Joe's with the Vampires now. Joe's still going. He's with the Vampires in Europe as we speak. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
They played last night, and Ronnie Wood got up with them. So, we're talking about this era, and there you got a band with Alice on stage, with Joe Perry, Ronnie Wood. It's crazy, man.
Alice is an animal. Alice is amazing.
Insane.
He just keeps going. He loves it.
He still makes new records every couple years, too. I mean, it's crazy. He was at my house a couple months ago. He was in Vegas. He came over.
It is very inspiring. It's inspiring for us. Right, Eddie? I mean, I just was at Ringo's birthday. He just did a thing with my kids' charity, too, my Adopt the Arts. And he's 86, and he's on the road. So I look at him, and I go, shit, man, I got another 21 years.
Let's all hope.
If he can do it, I can do it. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah,
he goes to the gym, he eats right, all that stuff. He's off the hard stuff, But yeah, rock and roll is really, we're very grateful. guys, you and me, and we know we've been very blessed to be in this world. People came to that show that you did because of you, Eddie, because you support rock and roll. You wave the flag, you keep it alive, and people respect you, and that's why they did it. Same, hopefully, a little bit the same with me, but
absolutely, man, absolutely.
So we're very lucky guys because we're just like waving the flag, man. And thanks for having me on, and appreciate.
And at the end of the day, we're fans, man. What you said earlier really connected with me too. It's the same thing. Like, you've had an incredible career as a musician, and it's ongoing, and it's still amazing what you do. I've had a great career, 43 years doing this. And at the end of the day, though, man, if people ask me what I am, I'll just answer a fan. Because I know people have said, oh, journalist, host, this, that. Well, yeah, but at the end of the day, it's all because I'm a fan. And that resonates with you, too. You could tell. It's just about being a fan.
Thanks. So, go to experiencevinyl.com, and you can pre-order the double album now. 2 different color variants. Amazing set list of Free, Bad Company, and the Black Sabbath. And we did, of course, the Dio era, which is Heaven and Hell or Black Sabbath. Yes. And then go to adoptthearts.org, check out the charity. You could donate there, or even pre-sale the album there too. Experiencevinyl.com, adoptthearts.org. Thanks so much.
Good to talk to you, man. Hope to see you soon, and good luck with this. And if you do a CD, send me one, because I still want my CDs. So
okay, beautiful.
All right, buddy.
Thanks, Eddie.
All right.
Peace.
See you, Matt.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
There's Matt
Bye.
Sorum, everybody, checking in on Trunk Nation. Great stuff with him, as always. We appreciate him giving us some time today. More time than I thought we were going to do with Matt, but that's good. I mean, because obviously a lot of great stuff in there and a lot of great stories. And again, he is a guy that is just, as you just heard, a hardcore music fan. I mean, that's what it's all about, man. At the end of the day, no matter what you do, no matter what world you're coming from, a musician. Look, here's another situation. This perfect segue into this. The guy coming up on the show next on this busy Thursday Trunk Nation is a guy that is known around the world as one of our best actors and writers, Billy Bob Thornton, currently starring in this huge show on Paramount Plus, Landman. But he's a guy that is through and through a big-time music fan, and has a band, and it just toured and just made his 21st record, and is part of this documentary on Sunset Marquee that we're going to talk about. So it's kind of interesting, right? I mean, sometimes people make their notoriety in other areas, but it all always comes back to growing up with those posters on their wall of the artists that they grew up with. And I agree with Matt 100%. I've said it. How many times have I said it when it comes to, and I always have to say this, I don't mean this in any way to diminish or disrespect the 80s guys. That's not it at all. I love so much of that music. I grew up and worked with it. But to me, given my age, which less than a week ago was 62, hard to believe. You know, the era I grew up in, and Matt, I believe, is around the same age. That's the stuff that resonated with you. Now, if you're about 10 years younger than me, maybe even 7 years younger than me, it would be different. It would be the 80s guys that you grew up looking at on your walls that were the heroes. But when you're in your late 50s and then maybe early 60s, you're looking at that 70s stuff when you were like 10, 11, and just learning about rock. And that's what always is going to resonate the most with you. Good stuff from Matt Sorum, and that stuff that he recorded in that concert looked incredible. He sent me some clips, he sent me some songs, and yeah, that when I was trying to figure out how the hell he was able to turn it around from a publishing standpoint, in the course of that conversation, it hit me. His concert focused on the music of 2 artists, Sabbath and Bad Company. So it's a lot easier to go to the people who control that publishing and make 2 deals for that clearance. My concert, which was over 3 hours long, consisted of songs from probably, I've never counted it, but probably 15 to 20 different artists. So you can take, Matt talked about how much he worked on getting it out for clearing music from 2 different estates or companies. Times that by 20, 15, 20. I mean, it's a whole different thing because there's just layers and layers to that. Who did a cover? Who did one of their own songs? Who did a song that they had nothing to do with? Who did a song that has a co-writer on it that they don't talk to anymore, who will also you have to deal with? That's the problem. So it didn't even hit me as I was pondering that until we got into that end of the conversation. As I was saying it, and he was talking about focusing on Paul Rodgers and Geezer, I'm like, oh shit, that's right. You only had to deal with those songs. All right. Thank you to Matt Sorum. Always great catching up with him. We'll do a break. We'll come back. We'll grab a few phone calls.
This is Trunk Nation, where rock fans go to talk all things rock.
Get exposed to something that they normally don't listen to.
With host Eddie Trunk.
Bring your own beer. Gotta love that.
Sirius XM Faction Talk.
All right, we are back. Just finished up with Matt Sorum. Again, you can always catch anything on the SiriusXM app to get caught up on anything you may have missed. We're standing by to talk to Billy Bob Thornton, and he will be joining us shortly, and looking forward to that conversation. As I mentioned earlier, he has been on this show in the past. It was a number of years ago. We did something in person in Anaheim at the time. Also, he was very much into the music thing at that time. Music has always been his thing. So looking forward to visiting with him for a few minutes here to finish up the show. And that should be in about 10 to 15 minutes that he will be joining us live, talking about a new documentary on the Sunset Marquis Hotel, which is called If These Walls Could Rock, which is out tomorrow. And you can get it on Apple or Amazon starting tomorrow. And it's a good one. Definitely worth checking out. There are some heavy-duty names in it. Obviously, Billy Bob Thornton being one of them, but even Ringo Starr is in it at one point. I mean, you name it, they make an appearance in this thing. So definitely worth checking out if you're a music fan and you want to learn more about that story of the iconic hotel, which, by the way, is still very much in existence and still very much active. I went to a Christmas party there this past Christmas, as a matter of fact. All right, let's go over to the phones for a bit. 844-686-5863. 844-686-5863. Grab a few calls while we wait for Billy Bob Thornton, and then we'll go to him to wrap up the show. Let's go to Grace in New Jersey, who gets us started today on the phones. Go ahead, Grace.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, thank you. What's happening?
So I'm going to give you two reviews of Motley Crue at PNC and MetLife with Guns last night.
Okay.
I'm a long time Motley Crue fan.
Okay.
Honestly, probably since I was like 11. So I've seen them a ton of times. Last time I saw that at PNC, it had to be the worst show I've ever seen. Terrible. Vince was absolutely atrocious. And I was close. I had maybe I was like 12 rows from the stage. I could see his mouth. He was barely singing. He barely interacted with the audience other than to back him up with singing. It was just, I'm good if I never see them again. And I love Nikki and I love Tommy, but I'm good if I never see them again.
Did you feel, Grace, that other people that you talked to or went with, did they share those feelings?
Absolutely. I mean, I know a ton of people who are long time Motley Crue fans and, just all around rock fans as well. And yeah, we were all like, we're done.
Did you see Extreme and Tesla as well?
Tesla was absolutely amazing. I am a huge Tesla fan. So I thought they were amazing. On point. Jeff was so good. I was floored. I honestly went to that show for Tesla. Not an Extreme fan, so I did not go into the Extreme.
Okay, and what's your report on Guns N' Roses, which you said was last night?
Yeah, MetLife.
Okay. I
have to say that was an amazing show. Axl was clear. He sounded so good. And I saw them last time they were at MetLife, and they were so, but I mean, they all were on point, all of them. So I was really impressed. I really was.
Where were you sitting? Where were you sitting for Guns N' Roses? Because that's a stadium. Stadium shows and amphitheater shows, way different amount of people. Obviously, where were you sitting for Guns?
Correct. Section 200. So we were center, but section in the 200s. I don't remember exactly which one it was.
Kind of on the side, or
bad. No, like center stage. I'm looking right at the stage, but section 200. I don't have my ticket. I don't remember exactly which one we were at. But yeah, it was really good. I mean, he played November Rain perfectly. As well as like a lot of the other songs that everybody wants to hear. That I'm so tired of hearing. But I mean, he did he did It So Easy. He did Rocket Queen, and a lot of the. He can't reach that high anymore, but it seems like his voice has improved over the years. So I was genuinely impressed.
Well, Grace, appreciate those reports and your thoughts and your opinions. Thanks for sharing with us. And there's Grace with her review on two huge bands from the 80s, very 80s packages that are out now, if you will. Well, Guns N' Roses isn't so much a package, because Guns N' Roses is just them and then whoever they have opening. I believe the show Grace saw in New Jersey, I think the opening act was like Public Enemy, I think. Here in Vegas, and they're playing here, Guns N' Roses are playing here next weekend. I'm not going to be here because I'll be in Gatlinburg for the Mountain Music Festival, so I will not see that. But here, I know in Vegas, they've got the Black Crowes opening, which is awesome. But Grace with a thumbs up on Guns and a hard thumbs down on Motley in her opinion. And there you go. And a thumbs up on Tesla and a no decision on her scorecard on Extreme because she didn't go in time to see them. Although I would highly recommend seeing Extreme if you can get there early enough to do so. They do go on first at every show. I know that. But they are incredible live band. So I would recommend if you can do it. I know it's tough, especially on weekdays, a band going on at 6:30 or whatever, trying to get there if you're working, traffic, whatever, but they are worth the effort if you can do it, because if you've not seen them, they are really, really good. Here's Ryan in Canada, in Sequani. Am I saying that right? Hi, Ryan.
Hey, no, Saskatchewan, Eddie, right next to
Saskatchewan.
Yeah, not too far from Winnipeg.
All right, where Brent Fitz Street is.
Yeah, exactly. That was awesome.
There you go. What's happening, man?
Hey, you were talking about an HD DVD or 4K Blu-ray, and I had a flashback, and I wanted to ask you if you recall this. It was about 30 years ago. Metallica put out a DVD, and I got to watch how I say it, Cunning Stunts.
Right.
And there was 3 or 4 songs on that DVD where you were given the option on your DVD player that you could select at the angle. So you could actually flip when the song started between Jason, Lars, Kirk, and James and finish the entire song with only the camera focused on them. And I thought at the time, like, that was amazing technology. Like, even looking at the disc, you could see that the back of the disc had more lines on that particular, like in 4 or 5 areas on that disc. And I don't think that really took off. I don't even know of any other DVDs where that was possible. Were you?
Yeah, I do remember that. I totally remember that, Ryan, when DVDs and then ultimately Blu-rays, but definitely with DVDs, where that was a thing where you could select your viewing angle. You could just lock on to maybe just one camera and watch just that one person. I do remember when that started happening. I have a ton of those DVDs. I didn't actually do that all that much. I didn't utilize it that much, but I do remember that being a thing. And you're right. I don't really, I mean, in the time of streaming that we're in now, I don't really think those things are options to be able to do, at least not currently with technology.
No, it just must, give them the effort for trying, but it just didn't seem to take off.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, there are so many of these things with formats that somehow just sink or swim or don't work or work temporarily. We talked about all the various surround sound formats that there are, and thanks, Ryan, for the call. Yeah, there's so many surround sound formats now and that's been going on since the 70s. The first one was quad, which was what they would do with vinyl. You could hear records made in quad, and that was like the first surround sound. Then it went to 5.1, 7.1, DTS. I mean, countless ones. And now you've got Atmos, which everything is being remixed in. But as I've talked about many, many times, unless you have the technology and the equipment to actually hear these things the way they are being remixed or presented, you're not going to hear it like that. And I think the reality is very, very few people have the equipment to properly hear stuff the way this is being presented. And that's why a lot of it doesn't last. Now, the one why everyone's so optimistic about Atmos is because Apple is behind it. And I think with the Apple Pro earbuds, you can hear it simulated on just the two buds in your ear. I bought Apple Buds just to try it out. I it seemed, some of it sounded okay. Some of it seemed a little out of phase and didn't seem natural. So I'm fine with just a great right-left channel, great stereo system. I was saying to somebody the other day, I would love to I've got to get, and I know this is going to happen. They are going to absolutely start rolling out high-end CD players again. I've been talking about it for years. You guys have been telling you for years. I saw this coming from a mile away, what is going to happen in the industry. You were all told vinyl's the way to go. You were all told to rebuy your vinyl. Now CDs starting to creep back up, and the marketing pitch is going to all come back to reminding you how great CDs are and were, and you'll start to see them they already made a 16% jump. And you're going to start seeing the push to start selling the equipment again and maybe some advances in technology, because remember, CDs are still digital so that you can do a lot of cool things with them. You're going to see all that coming. And I would love to get a really cool, great CD player, because right now I got a couple players, but like a new great one into a great amp with a couple great speakers. Maybe bring back an old school equalizer with like 10 channels. The LED lights flashing. I definitely would love to do that. But you also sometimes just want a smaller footprint as you get older. You don't want to lug all this stuff around either. All right, look, I want to absolutely try to get more calls here, but I also don't want to leave Billy Bob Thornton waiting when he joins us. So I do want to do another quick break here. And then if the timing works out, when we come back from the break, we'll have Billy Bob with us. If we don't, I'll go over to the phones. And if we do, we'll have Billy Bob probably for the balance of the show. Stand by. More coming up on Trunk Nation right after this.
Now back to more hard and heavy conversation. Trunk Nation.
The greatest show, bro. It's awesome.
With host Eddie Trunk.
Come and get it.
All right, we are back. As usual, talking rock with you here on Trunk Nation. Faction Talk, Sirius XM Channel 103, live or on demand anytime using the Sirius XM app. It's great to have you guys on board with us hanging out today. And looks like we got our guest, so we're going to get right to him so we don't leave him waiting. He is in this great new documentary on the Sunset Marquis Hotel called If These Walls Could Rock. He almost effectively hosts it, given his history with that iconic hotel. And I'm sure he will not remember this, but he actually came on this show about 7-8 years ago from NAMM in Anaheim and hung out with me here on Trunk Nation. And we welcome him, Billy Bob Thornton, back to the show. Billy Bob, how are you, man?
I'm good. It's a real pleasure to see you and talk to you again. Of course, I remember that. You're a legend, Eddie.
Oh, well, you're too kind, Billy Bob, but I appreciate that, man. And yeah, I remember I was doing the show at a little convention center or something outside of NAMM, and I think you were Teddy Zigzag. You guys both came by it. I think it was.
That's exactly right. It was with Ted. Yeah.
Yeah, man. So first and foremost, congratulations on the Boxmasters. What is it, album 21 you put out recently?
Yes, we just toured with the 21st album. It's called In the Bay. And we just finished the tour just a few days ago, August 8th. So 5 days ago. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It all went well. Did you have some? You had some cool opening acts along the way too, didn't you? Open for some acts along the way.
Well, last tour, not this one we just finished, but the previous year we opened for the Who, and which was incredible. Obviously, we opened for them in Miami and Newark, New Jersey, and yeah, it was nice. We got a standing ovation in Miami, and Bill Kerbishley, their manager, said that only happened four times. Since he's been with them, he said the first was Skinner and the fourth was us, and so we're pretty honored. And the guys in the band said, "Oh, great! So hopefully we get a standing ovation in Newark." I said, "I don't count on it," and but I was going to make sure we did. So at the end of the show, I just said, "Okay, everybody, it's the last song, our last song before you see the great Who." So everybody stand. So I made sure we got one. Yeah.
There's never an easier way to get applause if you're an opening act than to mention the name of the headlining act in any way.
Absolutely, absolutely. Old showbiz trick, right?
Right. Well, I'm from New Jersey, so I'm glad they didn't let you down and they got up there for you in Newark. That's awesome.
They were awesome. Those audiences couldn't have been better to us. Yeah.
Did you get any time with Daltrey or Townsend? Did you get to talk to him at all?
Oh yeah, I was actually in my dressing room there in the Enormo Dome or whatever it was, and all of a sudden Pete just walked in the dressing room. It was awesome. I had met Pete, a couple of times before at the Marquee, actually, and Roger and I have known each other pretty well over the years, and so I got to see Roger too, and they had nothing to do with us opening for them, and Roger had actually emailed me before it happened. He goes, "I just found out you guys are opening for us. That's cool. You going to come say hi?" And I said, "Yeah, of course I'm going to say hi." I mean, we've opened for a lot of, great acts. ZZ Top quite a bit. And, Steve Miller and Elvis Costello, a lot of people, George Thorogood. But when you open for the Who, I mean, it's like the Stones, the Beatles, the Who. That's the big three. So it's just an honor. I mean, something you'll never forget.
Yeah. I know we don't have a lot of time with you today. Hopefully one of these days we can get together and just kick it for a couple hours and talk music. I'd love to do that with you again. But I appreciate the time today talking about this documentary on the Sunset Marquee, which is, for my audience listening around the country and hasn't been to LA, it's an iconic hotel in West Hollywood. I was just there last for a Christmas party not long ago. It's still active. It's still happening. And this documentary, which is called If These Walls Could Rock, I don't know if you've seen the film yet, Billy Bob, but you almost effectively are almost like the host of it because you've got so much history with this landmark hotel. So tell me about that. How did you get tied into the movie, and how did you first get turned on to staying there, and how did it become so important to you?
Well, I mean, yeah, that's my joint. Rod Grundike, who's the manager of the hotel, named me the honorary mayor of the Sunset Marquee. That was quite a while ago. But I had been going there, since the 80s. I mean, just to hang out, at the old whiskey bar and stuff like that. But I started living there. I lived there for 6 years altogether. And Dwight Yoakam always liked to say that every time I got a divorce, I would live at the Sunset Marquee, which was pretty often. So anyway, I started living there about 96, I guess it was, and up through early 2000s. And sometimes I would stay there. Even I had a house that was 5 minutes away. And a lot of times I would just go stay there anyway, even though my house was there. But yeah, I had hit a weird spot in my life, and I just went to stay there for a few nights, and it became, over 6 years. I got to know the people there very well, and it was like family to me. And I've seen people come and go. Rod has been a mainstay, and of course, Mark and George, the owners, I knew very well, and it's one of those places that feels like home, and it's not like as you know, you've been there. When you go there, it's not like you're pulling up to a hotel. It's like you're pulling up to an apartment complex or something. It doesn't have the look of a hotel, which is really good because it just seems so private. And they have a lot of, I mean, it's the Rock and Roll Hotel. A lot of people stayed there, and they were very protective of their guests. That's one of the reasons I think people love to go there. It wasn't so public, and it remains that way to this day. I mean, it's these days it's a little more business oriented than it was when I was living there. Back when I lived there, it was like the Wild West.
Yeah, and for people that don't know, yeah, it is in a residential area of West Hollywood, so you just kind of see this little opening gate, and then you don't know that when you walk through that gate, it's expansive, and then there's the pool, and there's usually a rock photo of some sort up above the pool, and as you weaved in and out of there, there's all these different sort of like villas and stuff. I find it interesting that you actually preferred to stay there even over your own house, which was nearby at one point. Was it just the community of people and the vibe you were getting there? And of course, if you were dealing some sort of life event like a divorce or something, which is maybe a way to kind of clean your head out a little bit, was that what appealed to you about it?
Yes, for sure. And absolutely about the community. Yes, it was. I mean, just to give you an example, at one point, I mean, they've changed the numbers on the villas these days because they've all been updated. But at one point, I was living in a villa up at the top of the hill more towards Sunset, and a Villa 4 North. And I was on the top, and then there were two villas underneath that. And so at one point, my neighbors, people who were living there for a period of time, some only for a few weeks, some for a few days, and some for months. My neighbors, and just in my building, were Richard Harris and Keith Richards, and at that same time, Gabriel Byrne and John Hurt, and Dale Buzzio, and Jimmy Page. The guys in, Steven Tyler, the guys in Metallica, and Dina Carter, the country singer. We were all there, and we all became friends, through that. Chris Robinson, when he first got together with Kate Hudson, they were there for that period of time. And so I would walk down the stairs in the morning, morning for me, and to go down. In the old days, the restaurant was out by the front pool, and people would go have breakfast there, and I would go down and usually have breakfast with John Hurt. And I just remember walking down the stairs a few times, and Richard Harris is in his robe opening the door because he always had a paper delivered to his door. And just walk by, and he'd go, how's it going this morning? Oh, pretty good. How you doing, Richard? Oh, yeah, tolerable, And it was so weird because then after you would pass by that, it was like, did I just see Richard Harris in his robe getting his paper and saying hello to me? That the fact that I know Richard Harris and he's my neighbor is so freaky. So it was crazy. One time I was in the gym. Not that I, was into working out that much, but I thought I better try to just at least survive. And I was doing sit-ups on the floor in the little gym. It was a tiny little gym. And all of a sudden, these cargo shorts with this pair of legs right over my face. And he goes, "Hi, how are you doing? Did you get that bottle of champagne that I sent you?" And I look up, it's Jimmy Page. And I go, "Yeah, I did. I thought you'd sent it to the wrong room." And anyway, no, he sent me a nice note. I had just done something or won some award. I can't remember what it was. And anyway, but I just thought, what an odd place that you can just be doing sit-ups after you just smoked a half a pack of cigarettes. And I have like a bottle of beer in the gym with me, and And you look up, and Jimmy Page is just standing there talking to you, looking straight down at you. It was just so wild, you know. But that was the kind of magic that place had, you know. I mean, and it was a real community always.
Speaking of wild stories, in the documentary, you are walking through the area and you go up to a set of stairs and a staircase, and you're like, oh, yeah, that's where I had sex, right on those stairs.
Yeah.
What went on there, Billy Bob? Was it maybe a few at the bar and you couldn't make it to the room and you figured, let's just knock it out right here?
Well, I think a lot of it was because, you know, in those days, that was kind of, uh, it was just kind of the norm to do kind of crazy things, you know. So I think in that instance, it was just because, yeah, I think there had been some alcoholic or chemical refreshments involved, and I was walking up to my villa with a friend, and I think it was her idea actually, but it was after some kind of event, so a lot of people were there, and a lot of people that I knew were there. And there was a couple I knew very well, very famous couple, and they were walking. These are stairs up through the little jungle area on the way up to the villas, just some concrete steps. And so my friend and I decided that that might be a good place to stop for a moment. And yeah, we were engaged in recreational activities, and this couple comes by walking up the steps right beside us, and the guy just looked down and he goes, "Hey man, how's it going?" "Oh, pretty good, pretty good." He goes, "What are you guys doing later?" I said, "I don't know. You want to meet at the bar?" He said, "Sure," and then just walked on. But that's the way it was, and it was just. It was a very, very loose time, you know. It was. I think it must have been like it was our version of like the Roaring Twenties. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and there's so many stories in there. And besides yourself, there's tons of artists. I mean, that was the other thing that resonated with me about watching the doc. Having been there a few times and had some experiences there myself, I never realized the magnitude of this because besides yourself, I mean, everybody from Ringo to Slash to Chris Robinson. I mean, I watched the movie a little while ago, but it's incredible the amount of people who,
For
whether
sure.
it's from the acting world or the music world or the comedy world, wherever they come from, that have all had these sort of experiences there. But to your point earlier, people hearing this and not having ever been there would immediately maybe think this is some sort of like seedy kind of odd place. It's a beautiful place in a beautiful neighborhood. So there's a little bit of a weird disconnect there, right?
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's like the Garden of Eden. I mean, it's a beautiful place, and and you kind of feel like you're exempt from the rest of the world when you're there. It's kind of like a sanctuary in a lot of ways for people. Yeah, it's gosh, I can't tell you enough. I mean, Slash and I know each other very well and known each other for a long time. And I bought Slash's house in about 99, I think it was, somewhere in there. And his house over in Beverly Hills, which is the one that was right down from the marquee. And the deal for the house, I mean, not the paperwork and the real estate people and all that stuff, but the deal to buy the house from Slash, which I'd been to several times before that, you know, just to a party or something. And Slash and I made the deal in the whiskey bar at the marquee. He goes, "Dude, I heard you're looking at my house," you know, and I go, "Yeah, yeah." He goes, "You got to buy it." He goes, "I want it to, you know, remain with somebody who won't destroy the studio and turn it into some recreation room." He goes, "You got to buy it." I go, "Oh, yeah, I want to." So, yeah. So actually, Angie and I bought it, you know, from Slash.
Yeah, I think I was in that house too because I'm close with Slash and I was at a few of his houses. I believe I was there. And it's funny you bring up Slash because he's in the documentary. And of course, Slash is from LA. So you'd be like, well, why does a guy from LA need to stay at the Sunset Marquee? But whatever went on, went on. But I'll tell you a funny story. I was at this Christmas party at the Marquee just this past December. and I'm in the bar, which is no longer the whiskey bar, but it was the after party from the party. So everybody gathered there, and it was pretty raging. It was a good time. And this kid sits down next to me in the bar, and I'm looking at him. He goes, "Hey, Eddie, what's going on?" I go, "Hey, man, yeah." He goes, "My dad said to say hello." And I'm like, and it was Slash's kid. And and it was London. And I looked, and the last time I saw him, he was in pajamas in that house. So I texted Slash, and I go, "The apple don't fall far from the tree, because here's your kid now in a band at the bar at the Marquee." So it just keeps moving generations.
I'm telling you, it's incredible.
Yeah.
My kids, when Bella, our daughter, wasn't born until 2004, but she and I used to go on our daddy-daughter dates to the Marquee and have lunch at the back restaurant, which wasn't even there when I lived there. But my sons, Willie and Harry, when they were little, they kind of grew up off and on at the Marquee, and they would hang out with the kids of the other, entertainers' parents, and so they got to know, the guys in Metallica, and I got to know a lot of people, and I remember one of their favorite recreational activities was to go down to the concierge there, to Robert and Nancy. Robert's still there to this day. And they would buy, in those days, they had those throwaway cameras, you take pictures and get them developed and all that. And Lars Ulrich would be around there a lot. And Lars used to wear these silk shorts. And the kids would not leave Lars alone. He would be walking around the back lawn back there and going from one place to the other, and they would buy these throwaway cameras without asking me. They would just run down there and get them, put it on the room. My dad wanted this camera, and they would chase Lars around that back lawn and take pictures of his butt on those silk shorts, So somewhere in some old photos, I've probably got some of those. And I said, "Well, guys, it's not going to do you any good. You can't blackmail Lars because you didn't get his face in the pictures, just his shorts." But that was funny. Yeah, I think they annoyed Lars quite a bit.
I'm sure that was the least incriminating thing that went on at the Sunset Marquee.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And the last thing on this, Billy Bob, too. The other thing too that's interesting is, because this place has this reputation. You would also think, and you could speak on this, of course, because being who you are and being that people are always kind of after you or on you or looking for something, trying to get photos and all of that, it seems like, at least from my perspective, when you go in there, it does feel a bit like you're maybe a little bit isolated from that world. Do they do a good job in kind of, being that it's a place that so many famous people stay at, that they kind of keep... Sure, if you're on the street or you're right on the outside, there's going to be maybe some paparazzi out there. But once you're inside, it feels kind of safe, doesn't it?
It's completely safe. Yeah. I mean, it's like some weird movie where you've been, dodging, the bad guys in an apocalypse or something, and you find this sanctuary that you go through the doors and you're safe. It's always been a well-protected place. And even in terms of paparazzi, it's not like at the other hotels. There are a few people, paparazzi people, that they've known forever, and we know them too. And they'll come around, every now and then, but they know enough to just not bug the hell out of you. That you'll sign a couple of things for them. "Hey, good to see you. How's the family?" So even the paparazzi are kind of, the few that they let around there are actually kind of part of the family in a way. And generally, if a band is coming into town that's got a big concert or something, and people get wind of it, they kind of make them stay on the other side of the street, as opposed to crowding the entryway there.
Yeah, it's amazing. Last time I actually stayed there, I was walking out and I said, Alice Cooper tells me he stays here all the time. And I swear to God, I was walking to breakfast and I literally bumped into Alice out there. And Alice, what are you doing here? He goes, Ed, what are you doing here? And I was like, Alice is like, I've been staying here since the 60s, man. So it's really this like magical place that you just never know. Man, I am pretty much out of time here. I could talk to you forever. Hopefully we can do this again down the line. I got about a minute left. Is there anything you want to mention about your band, any music coming up, anything you're working on? And of course, congrats on Landman and all the stuff you're doing in acting as well.
Well, thank you very much for having me, Eddie. Good to talk to you again. And yeah, I mean, I'm just going to go down there and do that again. Landman again in Texas this year in mid-September through February. And other than that, like I said, we just finished the tour. Right now, JD, my partner in the band, we are currently mixing a record. As soon as we got back, we started mixing the next record, which will come out next year.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, congrats on everything, man. And again, I hope to connect with you again soon and hope to see you again soon. And I appreciate the time today. The documentary, that If These Walls Could Rock, is out everywhere tomorrow and available on Apple and Amazon. Thanks, Billy Bob. I appreciate it, man.
All right. Thanks, Eddie.
All right. Talk to you soon. Take care.
Talk to you soon. Thanks, buddy.
Bye-bye. There's Billy Bob Thornton, everybody, giving us some time today. So cool to visit with him again and welcome him back to the show. That was absolutely awesome. I can't believe he remembered coming on. That's so cool. It was a while ago, man. That's 7-8 years ago, but that was very, very cool. Wow, what a way to wrap up, huh? Huge thanks to Billy Bob. Huge thanks to Matt Sorum for joining me earlier in the show. If you missed anything, it is on the Sirius XM app. That is a good way to end what is the live portion of the week, man. That is pretty damn cool. All right. Thank you guys for listening. And we will, you'll get a weekend week recap tomorrow, which I'm sure will include some of that. And back live with you guys on Monday, starting at 3 o'clock Eastern time. Thanks, everybody. Great week.